What the? What the? Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everybody? We are looking forward to today's show. Why? Because Ripple has the Hinman emails, SEC in trouble. Man, what are they hiding? That's the big question of the day. And man, we got a lot to cover here. Short time to do it. Chip, you ready to kick this thing off?
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome down the chain, Jeff.
Man, good stuff.
Guys,
you know what's funny?
What's
Chip?
up? What's up?
I just want to start with this real quick because it's just a funny commentary just to start off the day before we do anything else. And JS wanted to know, he said, hopefully it's not clickbait. A lot of us would like to know if our agencies are being used against us or not. That's a good one. And what was our response? It's all clickbait.
All clickbait. The whole world is clickbait. Yeah, by the way, yeah. James Rule posted something and I woke up in the middle and I was like, I started reading this article and it was like super long. And I'm like, and if I don't finish reading it, I won't know the ending. And there was no ending.
There was no ending.
This whole damn thing. And there was no, it didn't like, I was waiting for, okay. And then this happened. It was just like, well, thank you for the blah, 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 reading the story. And I was like, that was it? You know, when you see a movie sometimes, Jeff, it doesn't really, you like it. They roll the credits and you're left. This is what's happening in the SEC v Ripple movie is that we're at that part right now where, the hero who's been slammed the whole time trying to escape. There's a lot of car chases and explosions, but the hero is starting to get a little traction because you basically, in a normal movie, Liam Neeson, every movie is the same. He plays the same character with different names where somebody wiped out his family. Then he has to go take revenge. They almost kill him, but then he comes back and wipes them all out. Right. It's every movie he's ever made, which I love. And if he makes another one tomorrow, I'll watch that one too.
What's up, Jacob's World from sunny England?
That's
sunny,
marvelous.
Sunny, warm, cozy England.
My gosh. I've been to maybe England, maybe 6 times in my life. Okay. And every time I go, it's pretty sunny. And I'm like, guys, why are you always complaining about the weather? Like, you just happen to come when it's nice here.
What about Brazil? So
Brazil's a great place.
England, both sunny. I'm
going to go into Brazil in the next year or two. There you go. That's on the list of places to go. I've been all up and down the West Coast.
Everyone's out their countries.
Wow, this
Arizona,
is up early.
States. And
also a supporter of the channel. Thank you for that, Liz.
Thank you very much, Liz. And
let's jump right into it, Jeff.
Really, congrats to the upcoming governor's race.
Yeah, right.
So we got a lot of stuff to go over. So
we certainly do, Jeff. And then, of course, because I had to reinstall all my computer
and we'll cover it all tomorrow.
Hang on a second. I'm going to have to.
Thank you for joining bright and early.
I'm going to come back in because in order
to share a computer issue already.
No, in order to share the screen, the Brave browser has to quit. I'll be right back.
Oh my God! Can you believe this? All right. So while he's doing that. There's a lot to go through. Obviously, Garlinghouse has some really key tweets to comment on. We've got some interesting developments here in terms of who has whose emails and what are going to be done about those emails, which is really perfect.
And you believe it?
So before we get into that, Chip, and as you're getting ready to pull up some interesting video and all that good stuff. I did want to just share this really quick tweet here because I think it's both interesting and funny all at the same time. Now, David Schwartz has really put himself out there as being a comedian in the space lately. But here he says, maybe this is just exhaustion talking after a week of going to bed at 1 and getting up at 7. But I feel more positive about Ripple's prospects and those for the entire crypto space now that I have in at least 6 years. So what's interesting about this, Chip, and I'm glad that he's positive about Ripple's prospects, a lot of great things moving forward, but I couldn't help but get hyper-focused on this 1 a.m. and getting up at 7 thing. Now, that's a solid 6 hours of sleep.
It's not enough, Jeff.
So exhaustion talking.
I think exhaustion is talking, but so 6 hours doesn't seem enough to do it.
But 6 hours.
Let's jump right into it.
5 and 6 hours of sleep.
Let's jump right into it here. Hang on. That's not the right
Come on,
tweet.
pull up the right
Come on,
one.
man. Here we go.
Pull up the right screen.
There's the right one right there. And you know what's
There we
interesting
go.
about On the Chain is we actually show you the tweets full screen, or as big as you can be. We don't put them on a little screen because apparently people haven't figured out how to zoom in or play videos full screen yet, but that's okay. We do that. Ms. C is ghosting. I like that. So this was the tweet. Obviously, we didn't broadcast the day this came out. So there'll be somebody that posts like, why are you posting old news? We haven't talked about it yet. Over 18 months. So this is Stu Alderoty. This is fantastic. So I saw this and I had to read through it twice because I'm like, I didn't even think this was going to happen. But over 18 months, 6 court orders later, we finally have the Hinman docs, the internal SEC emails and drafts of his famous 2018 speech. So
infamous, not just famous, infamous.
Infamous. Not only that, but I mean, it's the emails, but it's also the drafts of the speech. So those drafts of the speech got sent around via email. And so while they remain confidential for now, at the SEC's insistence, I can say that it was well worth the fight to get them.
Now,
So
Chip,
that
what
has
are
us.
in those documents? What are in those emails? What are in all of that? You know, all these things that the SEC has spent the past 2 years trying to cover up and hide. Which, man, you know, think about if you knew, Chip, and we've talked about this before, but if you knew that all the facts were stacked against you, would you bring a case? Would you file a lawsuit? I mean,
well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, let's face it. There was a whistleblower for like 6 or 7 years that talked about Bernie Madoff. It was a Ponzi scheme, a whistleblower, and that's like the 6. It was maybe more than that. And the SEC is like, yeah, I don't know. We'll get to it at some point, right? So somebody else pointing it out until so many people got hurt. So they failed miserably on protecting those investors. And here we have another one where, yeah, of course they file it, but I don't really know what they're hoping to achieve here.
Hinman's nudes were in those files.
Oh, wow. Let's not spread rumors. Let's not spread rumors like that.
No.
Look who's in the house. DNI's in
know.
here. I had a nice conversation with DNI yesterday. Steve, my crystal ball, used to work overtime. Not anymore, though. It's kind of just every once in a while it works. So this is interesting. So he goes on to say that I've always felt good about our legal arguments, and I feel even better now. I've always felt bad about the SEC's tactics, and I feel even worse about them now. So if we break this down, Jeff, always felt good about the legal arguments, but he feels even better now. So like your mind starts racing, like what's in those speeches, draft speeches, what's in those emails? I mean, we can only speculate at this point, but this was, I thought, even for Stu, this is Stu jumping up and down on the top of a van, waving a giant flag, fist pumping. You know, like the van is driving down the road, and in one arm he's got the giant, flag of victory over here, and the other one he's fist pumping up in the air. Like, that's Stu doing that, right? Because Stu's pretty like mellow. This for him, that's what I was like, whoa, this is Stu Alderoty. Wow,
man, no, those statements are pretty solid. You know, just starting right off that last part, I feel even worse about them now. You know, the SEC tactics, so obviously there's some corruption going on. There's some underhandedness. Alex D is saying, check your text, Chip. Check your text.
Oh, yo, what's going on, Alex?
James is saying, imagine seeing all the emails from Mt. Gox employees. I mean,
okay, hang on.
Imagine all the things that are being circulated here. Jim D saying someone needs to come up with a meme showing Hinman as a flasher.
Okay, so hang on a second. We got to do a special shout out right here. Okay, so this is to Alex.
Hang on, wait before you do it. Hang on.
Let me just
special shout out
to Alex and his boy Shamim. Let me get that right. Shamim, they're giving both you guys get a special OTC shout out because they're watching from Doha, Qatar. Doha, Qatar, nice. Baby.
Sweet. How are things over in Doha?
Alex Shahim. Man, appreciate it.
Nice.
How are things over there, man? What's the weather like over there? Drop it in the chat or drop it in my phone here. Yo, yeah, he was blowing up my phone, but I always turn it off because it's like otherwise it'd be like bing, bing, bing. So it's good that you read that.
Yeah,
Shamim, nice, man.
Oh, good.
Very good.
So DNI is wondering, he said for $350, we can get those emails. Want to pass around the collection hat?
Wait a minute. Hey,
Man,
whoa.
Can we? Is that due to a?
Let's
That
get
might
them.
be an individual FOIA request. How do we submit for those emails? That's a great idea.
Let's get them.
Let's get them. Let's get them.
I don't know if that's
How do we
is
get
that
them?
true.
DNI, how do you get them for $350?
I don't know. He gets while he's thinking about that right there. So then library posted, which by the way, the library, a lot of people have been criticizing library.
It's hot in Doha.
I bet. It's desert, man. It's desert. I bet it is.
Don't ask how.
Shamim and Alex. Yes. Never ask how. Don't ask how.
No,
Okay.
don't ask. Why do we ask?
We have it. Listen,
It's a yes
it's
or
about
no.
DNI. This is somebody who has a lot of connections. Okay. Let's just put it at that. He's got the connections. He knows what to do.
Alex D said he'll chip in for the FOIA request. Get that chip?
Yeah. There
Chip
you go.
in.
Alex D will chip in. Alex will chip in. Shamim will chip in. Well, I'll just have a major chip in here. Chip will chip
Ropey
in.
will donate. Do we pay for them with XRP? DNI, can we pay with XRP? That's the
How funny is
consensus.
that?
We want to get them, but we have to pay with XRP.
So look at library. Said great news about the Hinman docs, completely unrelated, but it's easy to publish something to library completely anonymously. Just get a little bit of a plug in there, right? By the way, just so you guys know, library is the parent company of Odyssey, and all of our videos are on Odyssey. So we do get the token is used. We do accumulate the token. We've been, by the way, we had Jeremy Kaufman on the show before anyone. We're pretty good at getting people pretty early, Jeff. So we had Jeremy Kaufman on the show about 2 years ago. And that's when we migrated all of our stuff over. And the title of the show was about, I can't really say it, but about YT and sort of, yeah, you just be careful. But anyway, it was about probably where you're watching this now. Anyway, so he said great news about that. Apex Crypto, another OG in the OTC family, said right, because deductive reasoning would say there's no way they would find out who leaked them. They would never know. Who would know? How would they ever find out?
Never know their paper trail. Hey, so DNI is saying that they'll only take Monero. They don't take XRP.
Monero.
Is Monero still a thing? I have a Monero shirt. I don't know if it's
so look at
still a
Brad
thing.
Garlinghouse commented on Stu Alderoty's tweet right here and said the SEC wants you to think that it cares about disclosure, transparency, and clarity. Don't believe them. When the truth eventually comes out, the shamefulness of their behavior here will shock you. Now, Jeff, I want to ask you, what could possibly come out that would shock you?
At this point,
That's what I'm saying, right? I mean, that's where I'm at. At this point,
man,
it would take a lot to shock me at this point because there's
the
been so much
shamefulness of their
speculation.
behavior. Yeah. When the truth eventually comes out, the truth is coming out. The truth has been revealed. I mean, we already kind of have glimpses of the truth, which is really amazing. But they're still trying to hide it. Zero transparency, zero clarity. It's all about, well, there's an initiative and an agenda across the board. It's not just with the SEC. You know, we're seeing that across the board at the with a political hierarchy where they have zero desire for transparency. And it's not just unique here. We're seeing it in some other countries where they're, you know, taking away people's freedoms. Our northern border neighbor, for instance, up in Canada, unfortunately, some crazy things have been happening over there. So does it shock us that these government agencies are not transparent and they're not willing to disclose, you know, what they've been doing? So, but this is, Chip, this is, there's like a spotlight on this. But you brought up something interesting that with Madoff, you know, that people would come out time and time again to mention it, but yet the SEC stayed silent.
Yeah, they really are looking out
millions
for
and millions. So who are they looking out for?
Hundreds.
Who are they looking out for?
Obviously themselves. And also too, you know, Jeff and I were speculating when this email came out. One of our first conversations we had was around the bet that we have with Alex and Mr. B.
Oh, that's right. Alex is here.
Yeah.
So we can tell him what kind of steak we want.
So let's talk about the kind of steak we're going to get. Are we getting bone in, Jeff? I mean, what are we looking at here?
So there's a steakhouse in Chicago called Gibson's, which is really good. And you know what they have? They have a bone-in filet. So what's the place in Tampa that everybody likes going to with the dessert room upstairs? Why did I just forget the name of it?
I don't know, but
Somebody.
don't worry. We can easily find it. It's not going to be a problem.
So anyhow, they have a dessert room upstairs, and then you have your private, but hopefully they have a bone-in fillet chip. I think I want to go with either a bone-in ribeye or a bone-in fillet. What do you think?
I say since Alex and Mr. B are playing, I say we go for both. Why not? Load them up. Load it up, Jeff. Load it up. So yeah, and it was so funny because I'm still hearing people like, and I won't mention, but there's a couple of streamers.
And Mr. B's on too, so
Mr. B can't wait either. So he can't wait. I can't wait either. We're gonna, no matter what, it's gonna be a fun time, right? I mean, regardless, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's gonna be a fun evening.
It'll be a fun evening. So Mr. B will be. We'll just have a great time, man. It wasn't Ruth Chris.
Not Ruth Chris. No.
I can't think of the name of it either.
Mr. B must know. Between Alex and Mr. B, what is the steakhouse in Tampa that everybody? I don't know why I can't think of it right now, and it'll come to me.
And you always mention it. Burns
Steakhouse.
That's it.
Man, you got to it before anybody else.
Yeah,
Burns. That's awesome. That's Burns. That's the place.
That's the place right there. So that'll be a lot of fun. So what else did he say? Did he say anything else?
Burns.
Oh, here's the thing. So Elon Musk, who has his own dealings with the SEC, fought him for 6 or 7 years on one time. So Elon Musk responds, "No way." So even Elon Musk is like, "What? Seriously? What? No way." Elon Musk commenting on there. So almost like a no way, like, wow, some adulation there, a little bit of a victory because Elon Musk fought the SEC and he won. So there you go. And I think it was over like 6 or 7 years. LBRY said the SEC is mad at us for using a rocket ship emoji. You must have triggered the SEC pretty bad. See this right here? So this is, by the way, I have to say the LBRY account has become one of my favorite. The humor is, I don't know if that's Jeremy Kaufman running that, but whoever's running that, by the way, let's get him back on here. Can we do that, Jeff? Let's get
we definitely have to reach out to him. We'll reach out to him. We'll bring it, especially now with everything going on with LBRY and the SEC and everything else. So, hey, Jim D's wondering what's going on at Tampa Burns Steakhouse. Is it a meetup? So there's an ongoing bet between Chip and I and Alex and Mr. B over the SEC v. Ripple case, settlement or judgment. They believe it's going to settlement. We believe it won't, that it's going to be, final judgment on that one, however the outcome. But that's the there's stakes on the line here. But Chip, Jim D brings up a good point. So if we do have that, when we schedule this, we should have other people come. That'd be amazing.
That's not a bad idea either. Yeah.
We'll book the Burns Steakhouse, or we'll find one and everyone will, we'll do a little meetup. That'd be amazing. It'll either be South Florida, Orlando area, or Tampa, because there's some key steakhouses. So we'll figure that out, but that'll be awesome.
So
that'll be really cool. So Jim D says, or a meet up. Get it?
There you go. So this is what the LBRY is talking about. LBRY concluded the update with his prediction that the best is yet to come. LBRY punctuated the sentence with a rocket ship emoji. So they got like angered by it.
What is this?
This is the SEC. This is the SEC commenting. This is what the SEC said. They're mad at us for using a rocket ship emoji. And it says, and it's right there.
Seriously?
LBRY punctuated the sentence with a rocket ship. This is the clown show that the SEC has become.
Oh my God. Punctuating with a rocket ship. Like
they
now
used
you can't use emojis.
They didn't even say emoji, an icon.
An icon. Oh, an icon.
That's how hip they are at the SEC. It's an icon.
Very iconic. Everybody should use rocket ships in their tweets when they talk to the SEC from now on.
So they're basically triggering it again, So yeah.
If you mention the SEC in a tweet, put a rocket ship.
Yeah, there you go.
Or 3, whatever.
Or 3 or 2 or whatever. You might as well do that. But I thought, man, how fantastic is that, Jeff? I mean, it's just incredible, right?
Yeah.
Just an incredible turn of events.
Oh, here we go. Jacob's World saying, we can meet if XRP moons. I'll take a flight over using TapJet. Now that's another one, Chip. Everyone will take TapJet. We'll organize the meetup on TapJet, and then we'll pay for the meals utilizing XRP somehow. We'll get that all coordinated with wherever
Yeah,
we
we'll have
go.
to do that ahead of Burns, and we'll have to publicize that and record it, and then shove it right up the SEC. You know what? You know what I
Here's
mean?
full utility. We
Full
flew with
utility
XRP.
right here.
We paid with
contracts.
XRP.
No,
and we ate with
promises of
XRP.
profit,
Nothing.
relying on other people. So this one right here, Jimmy Filan is back in town, which is good news. I mean, Alex coining, was coining 203 on Twitter, was holding on the ship for a little bit. But we have here, so we have Ripple. Spend the Bits. Spend the Bits filed its application to file an amicus brief. The application letter and proposed brief are below. Now, Jeff, the reason I love this so much is because Spend the Bits is really more akin on the consumer side to what Ripple is to the institutional side. So Spend the Bits, and we've had him on the show as well. Here we go, right here, Judge Torres. Who's the so here it is talking about the there it is.
There it is.
There it is, right
zoom
there.
in a little bit on it. Zoom in on the beginning part of it.
Where
just that. There you go. The opening statement. Just zoom in on that.
Pursuant to your honors, let's see here. Pursuant to your honors, individual practices and civil cases, Spend the Bits request to leave to file an amicus brief in support of the defendant Ripple Labs motion for summary judgment. Spend the Bits aware of other amici filings, though its proposed brief is not cumulative and the perspective is easily distinguishable from other amici because unlike TapJets, which accepts XRP as payment, and unlike iRemit, which is an ODL on-demand liquidity customer, Spend the Bits is a private company that created and built an application designed to use XRP, the XRP Ledger, without Ripple's knowledge or consent to transfer Bitcoin.
Boom. This is like boom.
Bitches.
That's it, man. You know what that deserves? Hang on.
That deserves a boom, bitches.
We don't have any boom, but man, we need to get a graphic. Chip, you need to do a graphic that's just boom, boom, boom,
boom.
A little rock, little explosion, little boom with an explosion. We'd use it all the time. It'd be awesome. Then we need a little sound effect with that too.
So what's fantastic about this is the fact that the way that application works is that, the Lightning Network, which they've invested like $110 million in, which is like a peer-to-peer, which actually that might even be
still a thing?
Apparently it is, because I see the Maxis talking about all the time. Well, Spend the Bits, so clever in the fact that what they did is they use the XRP Ledger and XRP. What it does is you have Bitcoin. Whoa, there's a lot of music in the background. So you have Bitcoin, and let's suppose you want to move it quickly. So you can move it in 4 seconds across the XRPL using XRP. And what's great about this is it really demonstrates to the court exactly an amazing use case that had nothing to do with Ripple that demonstrates that XRP is a decentralized asset. And so the way it works is on the app, you suppose, and they talk about Spend the Bits, a for-profit foreign company based out of Alberta, Canada, soon launching in El Salvador, utilizes open source blockchain technology of the XRPL to receive Bitcoin within seconds. So check this out. XRP, the Spend the Bits application, has destroyed, absolutely put to shame the Lightning Network, which I think the way they do that peer-to-peer, that's a little bit questionable too. I even think the SEC might even have an issue with the way that works. It doesn't, it's not fast at all. This is lightning fast right here. You could almost call this lightning.
This is Chip, this is all telling. One of the things that the Bitcoin maxis and the SEC have ganged up on XRP and the XRPO, trying to make statement that there's no use case, right? This is everything that they've really been focused in on is no use case. So we have a 10-year period of the entire space developing. Now we have a lot of use cases out there that are building, or a lot of projects out there that have built that have zero use case, zero applicability, right? We have the blockchain, or we have the Bitcoin ledgers, and we've got Bitcoin, and you've got that whole process. But what is the true use case of Bitcoin? I don't think it's 100% recognized yet. It hasn't really been fully identified. Although, store of value seems to be one. Ethereum, what is the full use case of Ethereum, the asset? You know, we know that within the Ethereum Foundation, we were talking about this earlier, that, you know, but for, you know, the ERC20 tokens, would Ethereum have really blossomed and gained the recognition that it gained? One of the things that they did out of the box was create a simplified mechanism to allow others to build on their platform, which was relatively smart because it got their name out there in the ERC20s and all these projects. So there's a lot of projects built on and utilizing the ERC20 and beyond. But the smart contracts of Ethereum, are they fully implemented yet? So if it was only emphasized and focused on just that, you know, I don't know they would have gained the momentum. But now you have Bitcoin, Ethereum. Why are they undermining XRP, the XRPL? You know, so now we've seen that, you know, over time, we're starting to see development. We're seeing, you know, companies built on and utilizing not just XRP, but the XRPL. And now we have 3 solid examples of it. Companies, the TapJets, the iRemit, as you brought up, and Spend the Bits, and they're getting involved. And this is the time, and this is really amazing because it puts the SEC's commentary, it puts their attorneys, puts Gary Gensler, puts the Bitcoin maxis, it puts them all to shame and really shuts them down. Because it puts them on notice, because here you have an entire platform that's actually functioning. Look at this. They've got an Apple app, they've got a Google app, they've got the apps, and they're moving money. And it's, you know, fully functioning, you know, Spend the Bits. And so, and there's going to be more. There's more companies out there that are using the XRPL, and things are just getting started. They're acting, Chip, like 10 years is an infinity of time. We're talking about technology that's just in its infancy of development. It's almost entering toddler stage where it's learning how to walk. 10 years from now, you know, this is a blip in history. You know, in the SEC, again, they're looking like this is all of history. So this last 10 years, just a blip in money, right? So when we think about it from that perspective, and the SEC is 100% on the wrong side of history.
So here you go, right here. Here's Leo from Brazil. Says, it'd be awesome to meet you guys in person. If I'm not wrong, there's a Brazilian churrascaria in Florida. It'd be nice to have some churrasco with you guys. And you know what? There's a couple of them. There's Fogo de Chao, and there's Texas de Brazil. So a funny story, many, many years ago when the kids were a lot smaller, and there's a 9-year difference between our 2 daughters. And then when the little one was really little, my wife, the whole family went down there, and we had so much food we got back, because, you know, they just come in, they just slice off some whatever cut of beef you want, or, I mean, it's incredible. It's probably such an experience.
And there's some great places to go.
We passed out, Jeff. We woke up like 2 in the morning, and thank God our older daughter put the little one to bed, because we're like, man, great parents. You know, it's like, you can't move. We couldn't move. So that happens. So yeah, that's always a good thing too. And
Chip, Alchemist is involved in a lifelong conspiracy, being a currency mule for the U.S. government.
Oh yeah, well, good. Join the. Look at this right here. I'm buying a time machine. That's what I said I would do. I said, forget about all these things. Just buy a time machine, go back in time, put notes all around the house. The first one would be buy Bitcoin. When, you know, you'd be like, buy Bitcoin. It's like worthless. It's like, you know, 1/10 of a cent. Buy as much as you can in your own handwriting and be like, okay, I must have written that. So then you start buying it, and then buy XRP when it was 0.006.
You got to make a caveat to that, though. You have to say buy Bitcoin, and then
sell Bitcoin.
Hard drive. Wait, no. Then put your hard drive in a safe and don't throw it in the garbage. Because imagine you go back 10 years ago, buy as much Bitcoin as you can, and you're like, okay, you buy it all, right, when it's 10 cents, and then you forget about it, and then you end up, you know, with your $150 million of Bitcoin sitting in a garbage dump someplace.
Yeah, that would be well, you know, this is the thing. Actually, there's a guy that was raising money to go look for his old hard drive. And because he had thrown it out, and he was petitioning. I think it was over somewhere in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. But
yep, I think so.
I wanted to throw one more tweet, because, you know, Jeff, I have to get out of here a little bit early today.
You got to go, and then we got some other stuff to cover when you're gone in
I
Chip's
have an
absence.
appointment. Let me just
We're going to talk about Chip a little bit.
Talk about it. I'll listen on the way. Here we go. Look at this right here. So Warren Davidson put this out. In case you missed it, modern monetary theory doesn't work. Federal Reserve confronts reality. And here it is, the squeeze that has U.S. Treasury thinking about buying bonds, right? Which is a complete ridiculous joke, right? Let's face it. And then we have this. So I put out this. I said, it's time to audit the Federal Reserve. Better yet, instead of a third-party debt-based central bank, it's time to dissolve the Fed and create a new sovereign currency. We already have gotten rid of 2 central banks, Jeff, and somehow they just keep coming back, even though the founders didn't want us to have a central bank. And then, you know what they always say, Jeff, the third one is the charm. Now we're set, because their 2 mandates are to control inflation and keeping people employed. Fail, 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 fail. It's just a giant fail. But that's it. I'll leave you guys here. I'll coast and listen to you on the way, but I have an appointment, so I got to get going. But guys,
all right, we have another 30
minutes. The next one. You guys know 30 minutes with Jeff. Jeff flying the plane solo.
Have some fun here.
Chip.
See you, Chip. See you tomorrow. All right, so we got some. He's out. Let's remove your stuff, Chip. So, all right, we have a good amount of stuff to cover here. We're going to blast through it. A lot of fun stuff. Do you want to post some more of the comments here? Al was saying the U.S. is the only country which considers XRP as a security of Ripple, only screwing their own people. And that's exactly right. So there's a lot more behind those decisions. Interesting comments here as well. DX Explorer, when the U.S. military enforced the petrodollar system, they're using the U.S. dollar security with expectation of Forex profit. Man, there's a lot. Think about, all the different things that have gone on behind this. And I always believed, and we've said right from the beginning, there was a lot of politics wrapped up in exactly why the SEC went after Ripple on multiple different levels. They saw, Ripple as a potential threat, obviously, to SWIFT and the conglomerate of banks, over 10,000 banks that are in control of the messaging system to move money. Even though SWIFT is rolling out their crypto solutions, we know that it's going to still be very, very inefficient and not on par with what Ripple is doing. So they definitely saw Ripple as a threat. They also see XRP as a direct threat to what's going on. So, all right, we've got some other good, comments here to review. So let's see if we can get these up. A lot of things going on here. So let's see if we can get into this here. So here we go. So this from Eleanor Terrett, and here breaking in its opposition to the SEC's motion for summary judgment. Ripple lawyers made use of affidavits signed by XRP users or purchasers, as they refer to them in the document, explaining how they did not expect profits from Ripple's efforts when they made. And this is all really, really key, really important, across the board, some of the things that are happening from the SEC side. Again, what is their argument? And they only look at one pillar of the Howey test. And as we move forward and we get some clarity here, the Howey test should be made irrelevant also, because it has no true relevancy to the development in the tech space. And you can't just use one pillar of it. You have to use all of it. And so obviously the SEC is using it inaccurately when they try to apply the test. But in this case, what are the SEC's motivations? Again, what are they hiding? Why were they so keen on hiding all of the Hinman documents? And like we were reviewing earlier with Stuart Alderoty and others, as they're really looking in depth to really say, hey, you're going to be shocked with what you see here. And they're happy, then very satisfied that they kept pushing to get these documents because of what's in them, even though they have to keep them confidential for the time being. There is, some gold buried in there. And, obviously Garlinghouse coming out and saying, hey, you're going to be truly shocked. And they're shocked at the behavior. And we are shocked at the behavior. It's uncalled for behavior based on what we're seeing coming from government representation. Again, you remember that the government is there for the people. The people aren't there for the government. And the U.S. is the only one right now that isn't showing full transparency or clarity as to the nature of what XRP is and should be. Now, if you're going to declare Bitcoin and Ethereum non-securities, you have to do the same thing with XRP. This case is really, really critical, as we've discussed so many times over. And Garlinghouse came out and said it right in the beginning that when the SEC filed, it's not just the SEC v. Ripple, it is the SEC via versus the entire crypto space. Every project, every company trying to push them offshore, which when you really think about that, it's amazing. Consider where we're at right now and look at some of the different states and how they're struggling, how they're suffering based on the economic, burdens that were self-inflicted. And so if we look at like California, why are so many people fleeing California? It's because of overregulation, overzealousness of elected officials that are penalizing individuals. So here's another example from at the federal level where the SEC is looking at everything inaccurately and making false statements, hiding and being and a complete lack of transparency in their argument. And that's why the question I asked Chip, why would you bring a lawsuit if you knew that all of the facts and evidence was stacked against you, unless you plan on hiding those facts? And so that's exactly what we've seen from day one for the past 2 years. The SEC has done everything in its power to cover up and hide actual fact from the case, from Ripple. And now that Ripple has it in their hands, these documents, and they're presented to the judge. I mean, this is really, really monumental. So here, explaining how they did not expect profits from Ripple's efforts when they made their investments. This means the voices of some of the XRP community were heard because of who? Because of John Deaton's work. And so this is also really key. Imagine the past 2 years without John Deaton. Now, John Deaton really stepped up, put himself, in a prime spot to give XRP holders, XRP investors a voice. Why? Because the SEC was making false statement. The SEC is ganging up on retail investors, going after Ripple, going after XRP, going after the XRPL, and the SEC attorneys actually made derogatory statements against XRP investors. So think about that. Think about how the SEC singled out XRP investors and their lack of knowledge of technology. These are some of the statements that early on that we had reviewed in the beginning of this court case. But okay, so Eleanor says, he tells me this will officially poke holes in the SEC's argument. So imagine exactly that, exactly what we were just referring to. If we think about like with Spend the Bits built their entire platform on the XRPL, utilizing XRP to what? To move Bitcoin. So if your entire technology that you built, your whole platform, your whole company is based on this ledger, has nothing whatsoever to do with Ripple, has to do with the XRPL and XRP. And the statement is that if Ripple, the company, closed up shop and went away, the XRPL still continues to exist. XRP still continues to exist. Spend the Bits still continues to exist. TabJets, iRemit, and there's many, many other companies out there that are utilizing the XRPL and are utilizing XRP. There's a good number of companies over in Australia. There's a long laundry list. James Rule XRP is another perfect example of use case. Why? Because he's getting paid in XRP. He doesn't get paid in XRP that's then transferred over to US dollars or another fiat denomination. He gets paid directly in XRP. The amazing part about XRP is that when you send it, it settles in 4 or 5 seconds. You get full settlement of the transaction. That is monumental. Think about if you do an ACH now, especially cross-border. If you do a Zelle transaction, for those outside the U.S., you might not know what Zelle is. Zelle is a mechanism between banks in the U.S. To where you can move money quickly. You have somebody's phone number, their email address, you're registered with Zelle. You go to your bank, you say, okay, I want to send $100. You send $100. It's there within seconds. All of a sudden they get pinged on their phone, like, I've got my money. There's no settlement that's taken place at that point. All that is a promissory note from bank A to bank B to say, we're sending you this money. Now there's reliance on bank A and bank B that transaction is going to happen, that they're going to receive that full settlement's going to close. But the money shows up in the owner of bank B's account. They'll have their money, and then the owner from the account in Bank A, their money's taken out. But there still hasn't been full settlement of transaction between those banks. So that just goes on their quote unquote ledger. So now with XRP, obviously, if you move the XRP, you get full settlement. That XRP has been completely moved. Just like, if you send Bitcoin and it takes whatever length of time it's going to take, by the time it reaches there, it's then recorded in the ledger and it's transacted and there's full settlement. So really makes a big difference. And this is really monumental. There's a lot of other companies, again, that are utilizing the XRPL, that are using XRP. Now, what significance does Ripple have in this whole scenario? Ripple was one of the first to utilize the XRPL. They were the test bed. They were a proof case that you can build a massive initiative utilizing the XRPL. They've built a lot of their project, obviously, utilizing XRPL. They have their messaging component. They have their ODL, their on-demand liquidity component. And then they also have their net terms component. And there's all these other things that are going to spawn off of that. They were one of the first. But now there's many, many others. So you can't say just because there was one that all the others don't have legitimacy. You can't make these statements that there is no use case. There's obvious use case, and it's obviously been working. And Spend the Bits, again, another prime example. So now that they're going to be involved in this lawsuit, they've filed for a request. And this is really key, defending themselves as well as defending those that have invested in XRP, those that are building, utilizing the XRP Ledger, and those that are involved in the digital asset space at large. Why? Because as Brad Garlinghouse said right in the beginning, the case isn't just SEC v. Ripple, it's SEC versus any company that's building in the digital asset space and on blockchain in the United States. So remember again that this is global nature. We covered this last week where Garlinghouse was overseas and he's talking to them, talking about giving an update. I think he was over in maybe in Qatar or Dubai or somewhere, and he was talking about the case. And one of the people on the panel, or I forget exactly who said this to him, but they basically said they don't give a shit. Nobody here cares about the SEC v. Ripple case. There's almost no visibility. Why? Because they've already got clarity in their country. They care about what's going on in their country. They care about the fact that they can use the XRPL. They can use XRP. There's clarity of transaction in their country. What does it matter if the U.S. decides they want to shut it down or make it more difficult for XRP holders? How does that influence everybody today? What that does do, though, if the SEC shuts it down, it does have an impact because overall the U.S. has been a significant leader in the space, financial space, as well as tech space. It definitely disrupts, but it doesn't put an end to it. Maybe it slows down the process a little bit. That's the irrational thought that the SEC has really put forth. It's completely irrational. Again, the whole cover-up is irrational. So anyhow, he tells me, so I like this. So again, he tells me this will officially poke holes in the SEC's argument that XRP holders entered into an investment contract with Ripple. More to come. I think that's just really, really solid. Thank God, for some of the statements that we're seeing here, and lots of, let me put this up because there's some great commentary here. XRP Crypto Wolf, shout out to John Deaton and the XRP community for making a huge difference in the Ripple lawsuit. 100%. Bubba Cogs, I bought XRP to solve riddles, make money. No way, Jose. XRP, I bought XRP because I liked its name. Now, if you go back to the beginning, when people were looking at first getting into crypto, it always seems like there was like a flow to how people got involved in buying digital asset, especially, I got involved back in 2017. But around that period of time when you bought XRP, you couldn't just buy XRP. You would go to your platform, you'd buy Bitcoin, and then you could then buy XRP, but you couldn't buy it directly. So it always seemed like it was Bitcoin was first on everybody's mind and first purchase, then Ethereum. And then you say, well, what else is out there? What else can you, and you look at number 3 or number 2 at the time, the battle between XRP and Ethereum and so you look and say, okay, that's number 3 in the chart. So then you say, okay, I'm going to buy XRP also. And then you say, well, if you're researching the technology, what is Bitcoin? What is Ethereum? What is XRP? And then you start investigating XRP after you've bought it, right? Because you say it's in the top 3 and there's a lot of movement, all these things are happening. And then you say, okay, what's the technology? And then you start understanding the XRP Ledger versus Bitcoin versus Ethereum. And then you say, okay, well, who is building on the XRP Ledger? Who's utilizing it? Then that's when you kind of find Ripple. You say, okay, Ripple behind the XRPL, but what exactly does Ripple do? But this then takes a lot of research. So is every single person in the space, when they're looking at it from a financial perspective and they're looking at the chart, the graph, they want to get into digital asset, the average person isn't looking and investigating every background of the ledger. They're not looking at everyone building on it. They don't have a full understanding even how it functions. They say, I see Bitcoin, I want to take advantage. I see Bitcoin's growing rapidly, but people are thinking in terms of stock investment, and they say, well, if I have to buy one stock and I could buy Microsoft, let's say at $10, this isn't accurate stuff, but I'm just saying, and let's say Amazon's 1,000, and they look at it and they say, well, I think that, this other one, Microsoft is going to grow exponentially. I know Amazon is too, but I don't have 1,000, but I can get a lot of the Microsoft at $10, just an example. Those aren't accurate numbers. So you're looking at the same way here. Look at Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin is already $10,000 or 15 or 20, whatever it was at the time, or even when it was down to 3 to 5,000. And then you look at Ethereum and it's in the hundreds. And okay, then maybe that's still a little rich. Then you look at XRP, it's $1 or it's 50 cents. And you say, wow, I could buy a lot of that XRP. And if that goes up, then in comparison to the way Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the others are growing, people look at it that way. They don't necessarily dig in and understand the technology. So the SEC, again, way off the base. So I like this one. I bought XRP because I liked its name. That was right there. Not even sharing it. So, all right, let's see. So let me go on. Let's see what we have here. This is CrytoLaw. What this is from John Deaton. Let's see what kind of statement. So this is, and you guys, you'll be able to go in and dig through all of these documents once we post this on the website. If you go to onthechain.io, you can go through and check out all the different links. We'll get that up later today. But here you have CrytoLaw just added to our document library, SEC memorandum of law in opposition to defendant's motion for a summary judgment and appendix transcript of record, SEC versus Howey arguments. So a lot of good stuff here. Wayne was saying the SEC's biggest fear, in their own words. I like, how all this Haram is saying the U.S. is always the last adopter, and it's currently the only place in the world trying to hinder the XRP technology. Highly unlikely. The world really needs this technology right away. A lot of stuff happening all over the world. We're starting to see how they're advertising for Ripple. Right? We've seen multiple videos that have been posted with Ripple really broadcasting and marketing on a global scale. So it's really great, really great to see. Oh, here's one right here. There we go. Look at that. Walking. I think this was in the UK. I think in the probably in the subway, where you can see Ripple. Look at step into a new era. Crypto means business. I mean, that's just all telling. So where does, the SEC have to come down, they're 100% on the wrong side of this. Crazy stuff. All right, what do we have here? Hang on one second. Let me open up another tweet from John. Oh, we got that one open already. Let me go this one, this status. See if this is going to be, here we go. Let's add this one. So exhibit 167 is from John Deaton. XRP holders make an appearance in this case. Everyone that took time to sign an affidavit and fight back, look at you now. There you go. Many XRP bought XRP for investment purposes, did not expect profits to come from Ripple. So there you go. That's exactly it. John Deaton, feel proud. Your voices are being heard, and they call it. So that is super, super meaningful. I mean, really meaningful, to see John Dean again taking that lead action and seeing exactly how the voices of retail investors probably being heard for the first time in any action that the SEC has ever taken, which is just unbelievable, really unbelievable. Chad Berry found out about XRP 2017. Thanks, QAnon movement. Yeah, I mean, amazing, how people, found out about XRP, back in the early days. So Jim D, correction, $27 trillion global currency in Nostro, Vostro static accounts. That Nostro, Vostro accounts, as you guys know, is where banks keep their money in other banks so they can complete and settle a cross-border payment. So Nostro meaning our account, Vostro meaning your account. So Nostro account would be our account in the other bank. From the other bank's perspective, that's Vostro, that's your account. So makes a lot of sense. Hence the Nostro, Vostro accounts. So Jim D, I guarantee that the SEC agency has its own internal turnouts who are leaking info to Ripple to curry favor for future employment positions. And that's definitely possible. I don't, there's definitely a lot of leaking going on across the board. Just crazy things, overall, with what happened in, and at the SEC. Chip saying the SEC timed it really perfectly after Ripple, an hour they had to, what is this, Chip? The SEC timed that really perfectly after Ripple, an hour they had to Inman, beach trap, and email. I know what you're trying to say, but I'm sure you're doing that. You're speaking to your Apple device, and your Apple device isn't hearing you correctly. Whoops. All right, let me pull this one up. So Rob Licker was saying they're not a nothing burger. Did you read Alderoty's tweets? Straight atomic fire. Someone was saying there. Here's DC. Now, as you said earlier, that we may never see these emails, and now are going to, if they turn out to be a nothing burger and were used obvious for delay tactics. What are your thought on the court's thought on this? So that's interesting too, because he's saying, what if there's nothing in them? But Stu Alderoty is saying there is a lot in them, and hence Rob Licker, talking about straight atomic fire, and that's exactly what we saw in those. Well, we haven't seen it. That's what they saw in those emails. What else do we have here? There's just a ton of stuff that we put in. Just want to go through a couple more of these, just interesting info. What is this one here? Let me pull this out. We put this in. This is from Xago Technologies. Yesterday, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, the FSCA, formally declared crypto is a financial product in South Africa. I know we have some listeners that are on right now and that are in the On the Chain family here that are from South Africa. But how do you like that? So the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, the FSCA, declares crypto as a financial product in South Africa. This notice is the first step towards full regulation. Next up, the FIC to include the CSAP as accountable institution. A lot of terms there that we might not know, but anyhow, so a lot of great things here. What is this? So you have declaration of a crypto asset as a financial product under the Financial Advisory and Intermediary Services Act, this is just phenomenal. It really is to see these types of things moving forward. And this was just released on the 19th of October. Definition. In this notice, the act means the Financial Advisor and Intermediary Service Act 2002. Any word or expression to which a meaning is assigned in the act shall have that meaning. And so crypto asset means a digital representation of value that is not issued by a central bank, but is capable of being traded, transferred, or stored electronically by nature and legal persons for the purpose of payment, investment, and other forms of utility. So there you go. This is right there in South Africa making some movement. Now, the SEC, obviously wanting to ignore that, applies cryptographic techniques and uses distributed ledger technology. The declaration, the authority under paragraph H of the definition of financial product as defined in section 1 of the act, hereby declares a crypto asset as a financial product for purpose of that definition. There you go. lot of stuff happening around the world. Why is the SEC dragging their feet on this? We're starting to see that other parts of the world, they understand the fundamentals of what the digital asset space is bringing. A lot of these countries that have issues in stability of their financial assets, especially fiat currency. We see a lot of countries around the world that have major issues in stability, having stable fiat. And so think about the benefit to all of these countries when they can utilize a technology that's on the XRPL or other assets, and they're intertwining them into their financial class, understanding even from a payment perspective. Many people in these countries, when you have these wide swings in the valuation of their own fiat currency, if you can then put your money in a more stable asset, which would be a digital asset, and it's already been shown that even the digital assets with their swing is more stable than many countries' own fiat currency. So that says a lot. Plus, when you have it as a deflationary product. So if the digital assets are maintaining value in direct comparison to fiat currency on a global scale, that's also saying something massive. And we've seen a lot of statement to that fact. And these countries get it, but here, very slow to act, but there's a lot of power struggle across the board. Hence, the delays, and hence, some of the major issues that we're seeing. But to me, this is a major statement coming out of South Africa, and a lot of interesting, great statements, as a result. So let's see if we can pull one more up here. And this came from, let's see what this one is. This is interesting. Let's see what we had on this tweet. See, oh, here we go. Yeah, this is just a picture, but anyhow, let's throw this up. Michael Arrington, listening to Brad Garlinghouse, Asher. So we have Ashley, we've got Steve Kokonos, and who do we have here? Kelly Callahan on stage at our Arrington XRPCap Founders Retreat. There you go. On stage. This was just a couple days ago. Tony Edwards replying, looking in. Amazing day. Dude, does BG have custom-made XRP kicks on? Must be a special occasion. Let's zoom in on those. Let's see what he's got there. He's got some, look at those shoes. Get your little XRP logo on there. You can get some of that. Like, you got maybe a little branding here. You put flip one over on top of each other. Maybe get a little XRP logo action going over there. But this space is moving regardless of what's going on. Amazing things happening. We're going to cover a lot more tomorrow night. Appreciate all of you guys that tune in and show up and support us. We've got Jim D and Legendary, and we've got Liz Taylor, members here of the On the Chain community. Appreciate you guys and all of our great subscribers. You guys are awesome. Look forward to seeing you guys back on tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Sunday. That's tomorrow night, 8 p.m. And we will check you guys all out on the next one. Oh, and by the way, tune in. NASCAR is in Homestead tomorrow. Looking forward to an amazing race down in Homestead. That's going to be fantastic. So if you guys are going to NASCAR, let us know. Send some pictures. And Homestead, Miami. Anyhow, check you guys back here on the chain tomorrow night. See you on the next one. We are out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.
Oh yeah, we're out. See you guys on the next one.